Taurus, March 2018, and this is for anyone who have their ascendant in Taurus or to a lesser degree sun or the moon. You should always check this horoscope for best results. Always check also the ascendant and the sun sign or the moon sign. Women often identify more with a prediction from the moon sign, but women that are into career and achievements identify a lot through the sun sign as well. Okay. So what's happening in March, Taurus? No longer eclipses, no longer chaos and surprises, but we're having two planets turning retrograde. One of them is Jupiter going retrograde in the 7th house, and the other one is Mercury going retrograde in your 12th house, and we're going to speak about both of those, what you can expect. The more important for you, the one that you're going to feel stronger, Taurus, is Jupiter, which around the 9th of March goes retrograde till July, till the middle of July, 4 months almost. And Jupiter goes retrograde in your 7th house once every 12 years. 7th house is relationships. And what do we know about retrograde planets? Well, retrograde planets, they still manifest. You can manifest a lot through relationships, partnerships, but in a more surprising way, because retrograde means the planet is not moving normally. According to expected, it looks from Earth as if it's moving backwards. So it doesn't mean that affairs of your relationship will turn backwards. It's not necessary that your relationship will not work or not manifest at all, but it means that there will be surprises there. There might be surprises in your business relationship or personal relationship with one-to-one people. It might be marriage, it might be very close relationships with clients or business deals or contracts of any sort, that you'll be asked to kind of work extra hard. A retrograde planet in ancient astrology actually is able to give 3 times better results because it's closer to Earth, but it requires 3 times more efforts. And usually it throws some wrenches in your plan. It gives some surprises to you. You've had one plan according to which this is how your relationship should be going with clients, or some contract that you're signing, or some agreement, or some business deal, which is 7th house, or some kind of negotiations, or some kind of a personal relationship, and all of a sudden something surprising comes out, something that you did not expect, that wasn't according to your plan, and it requires you to rework those relationships, to make them, you know, maybe to revise them, to make new negotiations of the business plan, or to revise the business partnership or the personal relationship in some way that it's fair, that it's more, how do I say, that it's more equal for both sides. And you have about 4 months to do that. And if some complications come up in your relationships, starting from the moment Jupiter goes retrograde in the 7th house, it's not necessary that this relationship will finish or anything like that. It just requires more effort. Remember, retrograde planets 3 times more efforts, and by the time it turns direct in July, you get 3 times stronger relationship, 3 times stronger or better contract than initially anticipated. So if some business relationship or contract has been bugging you, the rules of the contract were not right, were not fair for both sides, they come to be reworked, they come to be renegotiated and to be re-examined. And you might have to work much harder on some business partnership. You might have to, dig in there and put more efforts and put more of your knowledge and experience. But at the end of this period, towards the summer, July, August, when Jupiter turns direct, things start moving fast again forward when Jupiter turns direct, and you see better results in all those matters. And it's not good to undertake new things when it comes to relationships. Let's say to start totally new business deals, or to start totally new business contracts or clienteles. What can happen is that old clients of yours can come back, or an old business deal that have fallen through might come back to be revised and to be revived. Maybe you had an idea that you wanted to collaborate with someone on some project, but you never followed through, or it just fell through, and now Jupiter turns retrograde in your 7th house, and this person or that partnership comes to fruition, and it deepens. If it's an established already relationship, it deepens, but by renegotiating the relationship and the rules of the relationship, personal or business. Or it might mean that maybe you met someone in the last few months, and then nothing happened. And then this person went away. And now Jupiter turns retrograde in your 7th house. Well, this person might come back in a personal relationship, basically. Someone from the past can come back and contact you. Someone you haven't heard for in a long time that was very close to you. Or clients from the past can come back to you, get in touch with you again. So it has, retrograde planets have their very good side as well. Sorry. And so be prepared for such situations, there might be some frustration that you have to work on extra hard when it requires collaborating with someone on one-to-one project or just personal relationship. Or it can just mean, I've seen that you meet someone, you've met someone, and now this person, something changes. Because of course the planet changes direction, so something changes in your relationship and you have to adapt to new conditions in that relationships, and to again to negotiate the roles of the relationships, to renegotiate those. So these are the kind of things you can expect, basically. And because Jupiter rules Pisces, your 11th house, it might be some profitable business acquaintance, because the 11th house is very much like social house of networking, socio-economic goals, that comes to you, that allows you to create certain contract or certain deal, or that allows you to collaborate with someone who can bring profits, because Jupiter rules the 11th house. And Jupiter also rules your 8th house, Sagittarius, which means that something to do over the next 4 months, something to do with resources that are other people's. For example, you wanted to invest in something, or someone wanted to invest in your talents, or someone wanted or support, whether it's material, emotional, financial support from other people, is their resources, is the 8th house. So such kind of a support that has been withdrawn or never went somewhere can come back to you over the next 4 months. Or for example, 8th house, Jupiter ruling the 8th house can indicate, and being in the 7th house of marriage spouse, can indicate some money owed to your partner that comes back to the partner, and that impacts you as well. Or money owed to you from clients, or resources from clients or other people can somehow come to be renegotiated or come back to be used again in some way. Okay, then we have towards the end, the last 7 days, basically from the 23rd of March, Mercury goes retrograde in your 12th house, Taurus. And what does it mean? Well, 12th house doesn't directly influence you, but 12th house, it's kind of the house where it's our blind spot. We don't see it, it's behind us. If this is Taurus, the first house, 12th house is behind your back and you can't really see there. So Mercury is our attention to details, is our plans, is something practical that we're working on, something that is organization and planning. So be careful, especially the last 10 days of March. I would say the last 10-12 days of March, when Mercury starts preparing to go retrograde, that you don't miss certain details. 12th house, the house of losses, and the house of forgetting something, not seeing something fully. It's a blind spot, and Mercury is about details, like having the full picture, like having the facts, the details. So something might be in your blind spot in regards to some information that you've missed. And now when Mercury goes retrograde till the middle of April, starting from the last 10 days, so the last week of March till the middle of April, you might have to deal with certain omissions. Maybe a piece of information that you realize it's missing, that you can't, because of that, you need a piece of information to complete some project, and you need to go back and retrieve that information. Or maybe some gossip. 12th house is connected to gossips, and Mercury is talking, speaking, communications. Some gossip that resurfaces, past gossip that you have to address, or certain conversations from the past again coming back to you, because 12th house is connected to the past. Something that has to be completed, something that has to be ended. But remember, there is a chance that you'll be missing some information, that you might be miscalculating something, that you might omit certain details about something that becomes more problematic during the retrograde period. You become aware of it and you have to deal with the consequences of that. Also, Mercury is communication devices, phones, laptops, all such kind of things, computers. So be careful, because 12th house is losing something, breaking something, and something, water damage or whatever. I remember when Mercury was retrograde in my 12th house, my laptop broke. So I don't want to scare you. It's not necessarily that all Tauruses will have their phones stolen or lost or giving some mistakes, but be careful in your communication, because you can miscommunicate something. You can send the wrong message to someone as well, or they might misinterpret. Your 12th house is the house of confusion, so you say something but your words are taken out of context and they're blown out of proportion, something like that, and it creates some complication. But the good news is that, of course, Mercury retrograde will make you aware of those mistakes, even if it's a mistake that was done a long time ago, that comes to the surface, some omitted fact or information, and you can correct it and improve it. And 12th house is the house of endings, of completions, of letting go of something, and Mercury naturally rules business projects, commercial projects that you're, maybe like working on some product and working on the advertisement of it, or on the packaging or whatever, because Mercury is the planet, the organizer. And the 12th house is completing something, ending. So you might be kind of in the final wrapping stages of completing some project that requires a lot of your attention, that requires a lot of attention to detail as well, and a lot of your skills, and that you will discover certain mistakes there, certain omissions that you have to, but the retrograde period will allow you also to complete that, to complete it. And Mercury also rules your second house. When the ruler of the second house is retrograde in the 12th, how can it manifest? Some 12th house rules resources or money. And 12th house rules expenses. So be careful, there might be a bit more expenses that are coming now. Because money, the planet that rules your money and resources and possessions, is in the 12th house of losses, becomes retrograde. You might be trying to compensate for certain losses, resources or finances that you become aware of. You might try to reorganize things, to re-examine them, so you kind of minimize those losses. Or, on another interesting matter, something that is lost as a possession, material, something might get back to you. Okay. What else? Let's see. You have also Venus in the 12th house from the 7th of March till the end of March. Venus, the planet of relationship, and Venus rules you. Every month we have to examine the position of Venus, because you as Taurus rising or Taurus sun or moon, Venus is a very important planet for you. As you know, Venus is visible already, which is good, but it's in the 12th house. So you might be focused on, again, a lot during March on 12th house activities. Doing something behind the scenes, researching something is also 12th house. And actually Mercury retrograde in the 12th house is fantastic for research, deep research, going back something, checking your files and digging deeper, making 3 times more effort intellectually, Mercury, to research and to dig. 12th house is research, as I said. So that's fantastic if you're preparing for something, researching for something, and Venus will give you even enjoyment out of that and facilitate to make it easier. Also, 12th house is faraway countries. I mean, like not going to, if you live in the States, going to Canada, going to maybe Peru, going to Europe, going to Thailand. So if you're Taurus and if you're planning some trip, very likely Mercury retrograde from the last 10 days. Be careful, because there might be some surprises in a faraway country or trip. If you're doing that, it's not necessarily going to ruin your travels. Mercury retrograde can just throw us surprises, so you have to be flexible if you're traveling far away. But Venus there, great benefic, will help things improve and recover quick, and will help you have this flexibility, so to speak. Another thing is that you might be doing some more secretive action. Sometimes people prepare something behind the scenes there in the 12th house, put the final touches. Again, as I said, both Mercury is acquiring you and requesting from you to use your skills for completing something, and Venus as well. It's you working behind the scenes, putting a final touches to something, keeping it hush-hush. If you want to keep something from someone, March is the time. You might be even a bit dodgy, doing some shifty things behind the scenes, and no one's gonna find out. You're protected because of those influences in the 12th house. You might be doing very intense negotiations, Mercury, or renegotiations in closed doors, behind the scenes in some sort, or doing some kind of shifty activities if you're so inclined. Or you can even have like hidden romantic, important conversations with a hidden lover. Mercury is about communicating and bringing things important to the surface, to talk about them, and when it's retrograde, things that have been bugging you for some time that come to be revised. And Venus is about, in the 12th house, about secret relationships, or business or personal, overall. And Venus is about romantic relationships as well. So, something, or you might be just kind of from afar admiring someone secretly. That's another way it can play out. And people that in careers that are 12th house, if you're Taurus and you're in some imaginative or creative career, 12th house career, which is music, art, where you need to be alone, when you need more isolation to get the inspiration. 12th house, the house of isolation. So any careers that require isolation, like working in laboratory, doing research, working in hospitals as well. Hospitals is 12th house. Working on an island somewhere far away from where you are. Working in hotels. Working in dormitories, in sanctuaries. Working in anything creative or spiritual field. Actually, you can have very successful month if you're in those 12th house activities. People, any careers that are 12th house activities, you can have more inspiration or more very important developments there with Mercury retrograde requiring extra efforts and a lot of your skills there, important negotiations that are kind of restructuring that field of work, that are putting more even responsibilities intellectually on you and more strain on you, but that allows you to take it to the next level, such kind of a career. Otherwise, for other careers, you might just feel a bit more lazier. 12th house, the house of rest, of sleeping. You might want to take it a bit easier, to daydream more, to have escapistic tendencies. Remember, Taurus, you might want to indulge in more food, in more drinks, in pleasurable activities behind scenes, or just kind of isolate yourself alone at home and read some spiritual books, or watch movies, or just drink, or just do something private pleasures, as they call them when Venus is in the 12th house, and catch-ups in private with past loves, or catch up in private with people from your past that come back now, because Mercury goes retrograde towards the end of March, and a big part of April. But you're doing it in your private, you're not officially speaking about those things, So anything creative, anything 12th house goes well. There might be some surprises because Mercury is retrograde. They have to be reworked and improved on. Okay, so what else do we have? Well, Mars is in in your 8th house, and it's gonna move to your 9th house. And Capricorn is there, but we're going to talk about that because we'll have two malefics in the 9th house, and I'm going to speak about that in the April videos because it's happening towards the end of March, the last 3-4 days. So I think I'll put it towards April videos, which will come out at the start of March anyway, so you'll have that information. So thank you so much. These are the important events: Mercury retrograde, Jupiter retrograde, where Venus is going for your horoscope. So be prepared for those things. Hope you enjoyed it. Check out the classes. astrology classes that we're offering in March and February. So yeah.